everybody. I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Z Garcia.
Today we're taking a look at Fliptown, which is a Wild West flip and write game, which normally we don't do four-person reviews on these, but this is a bigger one than normal. And, yeah, it has a Western theme to it. Let me show you how it plays. Fliptown is divided into 3 rounds. Each round has 5 turns. At the beginning of a round, you'll take one card and set it aside. That card is the sheriff card. In each turn, you're going to turn over 3 cards over here. So we turn over the 4 of spades, the 3 of diamonds, and the queen of diamonds. One of these cards you're going to be choosing to be your poker card. So maybe I'll pick the queen of diamonds. Then your other 2 cards, you're going to pick one to be your suit card and the other to be your value card. Well, the poker card part's pretty easy. I'm just going to write that over here, queen of diamonds. At the end of a round, I'm going to check to see what kind of poker hand I've made. And I'm going to get money and or points down here. You'll start the game with a little bit of money, and you'll also start with some gold. And as the game goes by, you're going to be scoring points. And you can use or spend these things. Some people cross them off. I prefer to erase them because it's easier to do that. So that poker hand, pretty simple. That card is by itself. The other 2, you're forming a single card. So in this example, I'm forming a 3 of spades. I could have reversed them and done a 4 of diamonds. Or I could have, switched the queen out and did something like that. Now the suit of the card that you pick determines what area of the board you're going to go to. Hearts goes to the trails, spades goes to the badlands, diamonds goes to the mines, and clubs goes to town. And you know what? If you don't like any of that, you can always go to the cemetery. Cemetery is not so great, but it can give you something. When you go to the cemetery, you'll circle one of these spots here, and then you get everything that's in between each spot you circle. So the more spots you circle, the more things you get. You will get wanted signs going to the cemetery, and wanted signs can be bad for you. When you go to the trail, you'll look at the number of the card you use, and you can go up to that point. So if, let's say I have a 6 of hearts, is my combo that I played here. I can go all the way up to the 6, and I can circle that, but then I have to cross out all these, and I'll never be able to do them. And I get the bonus below, which is a free action here. You can combo actions like you can do in many games. In the Badlands, when you go here, you're going to, let's say I have a 7 of spades. That means I'm trying to rob this person of their cows. So I'm going to go to this spot, and then this card is a 7. I am trying to draw higher than a 7. I succeeded. Well, that's fantastic. When you succeed, you're going to get points and money. If you fail, you're going to get half points and no money. Either way, you're going to get wanted signs every time you do these. When you finish 3 in a row, you're going to get a bonus action. When you come to the mine, here, an ace through 7s, diamonds goes to this side. An 8 through king, diamonds goes to this side. So let's say, for example, I had played a 4 of diamonds here. That's between ace and 7. I do this. Then next time I can go here, here, or here. And you keep going down. A lot of endgame point scoring down here. Then the town is kind of the craziest one. You'll go to a very specific building in a town. And they all do different things. Some of them let you buy equipment. This one lets you buy guns. So that gives you bonuses when you try to rob people over here. You can get rid of wanted signs by paying money at the church. You can choose an outlaw to hunt, which means I might pick queens, and every time a queen shows up here in this middle row, I get a sort of bonus. So each building here gives some sort of cool thing that it does. And like I said, some things here will affect all the different boards. You can also spend gold to change the suit. 2 gold will change the suit of one of these 2 cards. And you can also spend gold to modify the number. So changing the suit card costs 2 gold. Modifying this costs 1 gold per number that you're modifying it. The poker card cannot be modified. So you're doing all these things. Like I said, you'll be spending money in the town to get bonuses that you can use on the other sides of the boards. And after 5 turns, you'll have a poker hand. You'll compare that. At that point, you're then going to see if the sheriff is going to catch you. You can bribe the sheriff. So by bribing the sheriff, you can pay gold equal to the number of wanted signs you have to make them go away temporarily for that turn. Otherwise, you just take your chances. And as long as this number is not lower than the number of wanted signs, you're fine. Otherwise, you pay a hefty money or point value total. And that's pretty much the game. There's other things. These tokens will give you income that you'll get every turn. And like I said, there's some cool endgame bonuses here. Some of the buildings have endgame bonuses. There's also a mini expansion that you can play with. There's a robot that you can play against in a solo game. But there's also special cards that you can take that will be a sort of like this miner here. They give you your starting resources and a special ability that you can use once per game. And that's how you play. All right, if you watched our crowd surfing episodes, you'll know that Z is a connoisseur of card decks.
Yes. Oh, okay. So is Chris, actually. Chris also collects quite a few decks.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So what do y'all think of the deck of cards in here?
Yeah. It's not actually that good. Like, just the quality of the cards is fine. It feels like a board game deck of cards. But I do like the way that it looks. I like the whole look of this, and if the deck of cards fits really well for the play.
I like it more than that, actually. I thought it was a good deck of cards. It feels like a United States Playing Card Company deck to me. And I like the artwork in it quite a bit. I thought it was a nice deck, and yeah, it elevates the whole thing. It's nice having like a full deck of cards inside of a flip and write game.
That part I loved.
Yeah, it's cool.
That hook. Yeah,
You could be like, pull it out and just play cards.
Right.
I
I won't
do that.
But you could.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay, that's the thing. I always complain about that whenever a game's like, you can also use our deck to play a card game. Like, no one ever will. I still don't think they'll do it with this game.
Sure.
But I will say that the cards is often a gimmick in games, and it doesn't work. In this one, I thought it worked pretty well. Now, I should say pretty well. I mean, it works very well.
Yeah.
As someone who loves cards, I mean, I love these, but every time I see them in a game, I almost feel like this is going to be lazy. You know, but it really works on multiple levels on this one.
I agree with that, yeah, because there are reasons why you want face cards in this game. Like, you are catching outlaws, so you are waiting for that jack to show up. Like, when the jack shows up, boom, I caught an outlaw. Like, it means something in it. So I thought that was a very nice one-to-one that, like you said, promotes theme and means something.
Right.
There's one, I think this game looks great.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to teach, actually. There's a few fiddly things for teaching with the whole, you want a high card here, but you want a low card here. So you have to kind of remember that. I wish there was more of a big, like, low, high, but it's not that big of a deal. The one thing I don't love, component-wise, and I don't know how to fix it, is the resources. So the gold and the money, you circle them. You and I are erasing them.
Everyone does something different.
I didn't do that the first time I played, though.
You crossed them off?
I was crossing them off, and definitely by the end, there was a whole mess. Half the space was circled and crossed off. So now I've switched to just erase them if you've used them, circle them back up if you need them. It's a little cleaner.
You use money so much. I almost wish money was a physical component. I saw some people done that online. They're like, oh, we're using poker chips. I don't got room in the box for that.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a minor, but there's also a ton of erasing at the end of this. There's a lot of erasing on the board. But
yeah, my other component-wise is I do still wish the boards were a little bit bigger.
There's a lot of information on what is a pretty decent-sized board, but it wouldn't hurt if it was just a little bit stretched more,
Especially for those buildings. They all have text. They all kind of explain what they do, and you kind of have to expand on what that means in the rule book, but they're tiny. Like, if your eyesight isn't up to snuff, you might struggle here.
Yeah.
And because they're small and the markers are thick, I'm going to need to get thinner markers. You draw a circle around something, you'll draw a circle through some of the information you need. I'm like, hang on, what was that? Oh, it was 6 points. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And some of those buildings have different effects. You know, like they have like two different effects the first, second time you go there.
Yes.
So there's a lot
I like that,
in like a small area. It's very rewarding, but I agree visually, that's kind of the one bummer, is it's pretty compressed.
Yeah, the flip side of that is, no pun intended, that the game, there's a bigger game in this box than that box would imply.
I agree, and that's the thing. You have so many different avenues of it's a game that you wanna run back again and figure out a different system and going through, because you've got the cascading, which I love in any roll and write, but then you've got the push your luck, like when you're waiting for certain cards to show up. You got the poker hand. There's so much that goes into it.
You really can. This is kind of wild, but this is a sandbox flip and write.
Yes.
You can be an outlaw and just go rob every cow and chicken you see. Just go crazy. Go buy the revolver and go to town. You can just go. You can go strong in the mining. You know what I mean, and try to get those bonuses, that end game scoring. You can sort of modify the way you want to play by the buildings you take and choose to unlock.
And even the graveyard isn't bad. It's kind of the throwaway action.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You could do that too. You could be like, every time I go to the graveyard, guess what? No wanted posters for me. I'm going to be a grave robber. Like, in this world, I'm a grave robber.
I'm glad you clarified it.
In this world and in this world alone. Stop looking for me.
So I think one thing that helps here is I play so many roll and writes that have no theme or, I mean, they don't even, a lot of them don't even try. They're like, it's numbers.
Sure.
Here's some dice coming at you out of the cover. That's it. That's all you need to know. And then there's a lot that have theme, but it's not there. I thought the theme in this one was pretty strong. I mean, you could argue to be like, well, you get Western Legends and other games. Sure, but I think this is about as much theme as you can get from this style of game.
Yeah.
And it worked for me. I even like it more. I don't think you've played with them, but I like the character cards a lot.
Yes.
It's a one-time ability, different starting resources, and it just gives me kind of a path. You cannot do everything in this game.
Right.
So that's fine. What am I going to do this game? I'm like, like you said, I'll be a robber this game. Or this game, I'm just going to own the town.
Yeah.
It's impressive that there's all of this that we're talking about. It has that breadth of a very robust roll and write, flip and write type game. But what I respect a lot is how easy each decision is, because you have the flop of the 3 cards. One of them becomes the poker card as is, and then you blend the other 2. And what that does is it limits your choices per turn. Even though there's a huge town, a whole third of the board is 13 very unique options. Yep. There's a lot of different mini games happening at once, but because they're broken out by suit, I just sit there and go 7 of diamonds or 9 of clubs. Choose one of those 2. Okay, cool. I have this board with a lot of choices, and now I'm just kind of reduced to these 2 parts here. So I want this poker card for sure.
Right.
And now I have these choices. So it limits it in a way that doesn't feel forced, but still feels
Gold opens that up a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. The game sort of slowly gets you there. Like you said, I think a lot of the times when you first play, you're going to go, ooh, that ace or whatever, that's my poker card. And you eliminate it, right? You write it down, you eliminate that, and then you have 2 choices. As you play this game more, you might pick that in reverse. You might be like, I really need to go to whatever. So forget, poker card will be my last choice, whatever's left. Also, I can spend gold to modify that further. But you sort of ramp up to that. So you're right. It sort of goes, hey, just look at this and this. As you play more, you can then pay gold and maybe expand this or change the suit. I think it's a good way to do it. It offers you lots of mitigation without forcing it down your throat the first time you play.
Yeah.
All right, what would you give it, Chris?
It takes a lot at this point for a flip and write or a roll and write game to really impress me, and this one did. This is an 8.5. I think it's so solid. Thematic, really nice looking production. And I love the way that the poker hand is a main central mechanism of this game. Poker is one of those games that I like. I wish I kind of liked it more, and this makes it a core part of the game, and enough points that is worth chasing that it makes you consider, like you were saying. At this point in the game, I really need to focus on getting the rest of the trail done or going to this building and stuff. Other times, this poker hand's gonna be worth a lot. So it gives you juicy decisions every turn. It's an 8.5. I really like it.
What about you?
I'm giving it the same thing. There's a couple of moments that hold it back, like I said, but it's an 8.5 for me. Yes, I wish the boards were a little bit bigger. Yes, I'm still confused every time I go do the holding something up, and I'm like, wait, do I flip higher or lower? And then you fight the sheriff or whatever. The sheriff's coming after you. I'm like, wait, do I flip higher or lower? I have to check that stuff every time. I don't know why I can't sear that into my brain. But the game is, again, especially for the size, thematic, engaging, quick playing, but gives you a lot of choices in those quick rounds. I think it's excellent. I think if you are looking for something new in X and right type games, this one delivers.
Well, I'm right there along with him. I'm also giving it an 8.5. This is, I think, my favorite roll and write this year, or flip and write, whatever, in this category. And it was funny because I played this. I got excited reading the rules.
Right.
You know, it was just fun reading. I was like, oh, there's so many options, so many things to do. I really liked how things tied in thematically. I buy a gun, it helps me catch these. I buy a pickaxe, it helps me in the mine. I buy a shovel, helps me in the graveyard. I can also do a little bit of pushing your luck, from trying to bribe the sheriff or not bribe the sheriff to playing poker and hoping all 3 cards come up are red, or trying to catch the criminals. There's a lot of ways I'm like, woohoo, I'm doing some push your luck. But you can also, if you don't like doing that, you can just play in the mines or in, on the trail. I think this one is really cool, and it stands out in a field that's honestly full of a lot of very mediocre stuff. There's a lot of roll and writes that rise above, but there's so much mediocre stuff out there.
There's also a very cannibalistic genre.
Yes.
Where all the games are sort of like versions of other ones. This ain't that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming a bit higher at 9 because I love flip and right, X and right. I love these style of games. And Chris had a good point with how unique everything. In the mini games, normally I don't gravitate to because they just seem all over the place. This one seems to have cohesion with those mini games. You know, like if you fail over here, I'm gonna go here and get a shovel. I'm gonna do this. And there's so much to do, and the fact that I've played it, that I want to play it again. And I was meeting Tom one time, like, hey, you can bring Fliptown, we can try that. Because there's different things you want to try with this. And that is what gives it staying power over a lot of X and rights. And I love it. I think it's great.
Well, there you go, folks. That is Fliptown, a Wild West flip and right game. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Z Garcia.
I should have worn a cowboy hat.
Kind of is.